and I just can't see that. But someone said something really interesting last night on the Two Marks show, is that after 10 games last season, we had 28 points, where we've got 24 points after 22 games this season. The difference is crazy.
What a drop-off, man.
Yeah.
What's happened this season, man? What a regression. And we're going to talk about Ange in a minute, but look, relegation for you, Nigel, you think we'll be all right?
Yeah, I think we'll be fine. But listen, hey, 15th is not good enough. But
no, it's not. It's not. But there's a lot of people worried that we could get in an actual proper relegation battle. So we do need to discuss it. Eugene, what's your feelings around that?
No, I agree with Nige. I mean, the bottom 3 teams are so bad this year that we should be fine. Any other year, I'd be worried. But this year, I think we'll end up maybe 11th or 12th. So we should be okay.
Okay.
Okay, meaning we're not going to get relegated. Not okay about where we should be.
Fair enough. Philly, what's your thoughts on it?
All right, now I'm gonna break the mold here. I'm gonna say this to you because I'm been old enough and I've watched near enough every season of the Premier League. Now, there's one saying, and it's a big one at that, and it's no team is too big to go down. And that we heard that with Newcastle, and we heard that with Aston Villa. Now, you could be drawn into a relegation fight, and a lot of these players here are not going to be used to fighting in the relegation battle. All right, yeah, there's a big point swing. But that right now, when I'm looking at Tottenham, I can't see where the next one's coming from. We hope that we get a result against Leicester, but there's no guarantee that we're going to get a result against Leicester. And as we play more and more games here, because we're going to play games on Thursday, and then we're going to play Sunday, and then Thursday again, you're going to stretch this squad to its limits, and we're going to get more players out injured. So I would not write off Tottenham being in the full relegation battle. I wouldn't write that off. I hope they're not, but like I said to you before, no team is too big to go down.
No, you're true. Like when you reflect back and you say teams like Newcastle going down, Villa, it can happen. Is this team up for the fight? And if you look at that performance against Everton at the weekend, you'd think, hell no. Like that was truly shocking. We played Tamworth the other week, couldn't beat them over 90 minutes. I mean, we are in awful form. Something has to change fast. Yeah, it must do. Obviously, we've got a winnable game against Leicester at the weekend. They're in also tragic form as well. I think they're on 7 losses in a row. I mean, surely with our bad form and the players missing, we can get that one over the line, yeah?
Yeah, but Dad, what happened in the first game at Leicester? Because I swear down their head, if it wasn't for Bentancur being injured in that game, yeah, right, Leicester were actually looking like they were going to win the game. The first match of the season.
I wouldn't say that. I think the game went in their favour due to the amount of disruptions that happened in that second half. I think that the game stopped for about 10 minutes or 15 because there was a few injuries, weren't there? And then they just kept causing fouls, and it was a very disruptive game. So when I looked at it, I wouldn't say that Leicester was ever going to win. I think they just got a bit lucky that they managed to suckle the what's the word I'm looking for? Suck the momentum out of us in that second half.
You think so, George? Because I don't think so. I think Vardy had a chance here. He nearly scored, right? Yeah. And no, he scored the first one for them, and then he nearly scored again.
Yeah.
Look, that Leicester game, man. It was the first game of the season, weren't it? There was Leicester's back up. They were up for it. We had loads of chances. We should have put the game to bed in the first half. We didn't. An injured Jamie Vardy got a goal. Yeah, he weren't even fully fit. And Leicester could have won it. But I think this is different times now. Like since that game, Leicester have just dropped. They've sacked their manager. They're not playing with confidence. So I just think with the context of the game, a fair point, no, Philly. Like we did struggle against them, but surely, man, even you, man, you must.
We haven't got a defense, mate. We haven't got a. Let's just look at the defense and then categorize it again because we haven't got a defense right now.
Okay, so what you think we're going to lose?
I'm not saying that. I'm not even calling a game anymore. I don't call a Spurs game anymore because I'm looking at the game, yeah, and I'm looking like something out of Harry Potter, Bertie Bott's flavored beans. I don't know what team's going to show up and when they're going to show up or where they're going to play. I can't give you that. I can't tell you what the result's going to be. So I'm just letting every game as it goes come.
Yeah, no, I get that. You've got no confidence, neither have I. But if I think of any game other than Southampton, like Leicester, surely, man, we've got to get that one over the line, man. If honestly, if we can't win that game Ange needs to go straight.
No, you couldn't be Tamworth after 90 minutes there, brother. Come on now.
Well,
You look at Palace. Palace hadn't won all season. They play us, they win. Ipswich hadn't won all season. They play us, they win. Calvert-Lewin hadn't scored in a million years. Plays us and scores. Leicester, 7 losses on the trot. Let's hope not. Let's hope not.
look, man. Look, Leicester, yeah, surely, man. Look, what we're talking about, the relegation. Look, I've lost track there. So Philly thinks there's a big issue. Could happen. George, what's your thoughts?
Yeah, I'll keep it very brief. We're not getting relegated. I don't even entertain the conversation. I know it's all fun to talk about, and I might like after a game, we're getting relegated. You get a bit emotional, but we all know. Like, let's be honest, our club is a bit too big to get relegated. And I know, Philly, you think there is no club too big, but there is in certain situations. When you look at where we're at right now, the clubs below us that are likely to get relegated are in very bad positions, like a Leicester, a Southampton. Ipswich, I'd say they're not in a very bad position just because they have a good manager and they've signed a few players. But I think, like you say, we've got 8 points above them. We'd need a massive swing for them to win 3 games and us to lose 3 on the trot. Us losing 3 is not hard. That's not something that's impossible to happen. But them winning 3 on the trot hasn't happened all season. Ipswich, Leicester, and Southampton aren't going to swing that many points. So definitely not going to get relegated. But I think the bigger question is, can we even get top 10? We're close to relegation and we are top 10 right now. So we need a huge swing ourselves to even bridge that gap.
Just looking at the standings, it's crazy. West Ham with the negative 16 goal difference is ahead of us. That's mental. Minus 16 goal difference for West Ham.
That is madness, isn't it?
And we're plus 10.
What is going on here, man? This don't make sense, does it? It just does not make sense. When I don't think it's ever happened, a team this low with a plus goal difference, is it? Can anyone recall what it has? I think this is a new thing.
I mean, all these goals for us came in like 5 games. Every other game we're struck. So when everybody says we're bad defensively, which is true, that's an issue. But offensively, we have an issue too. We struggle to score 2 goals against low blocks or mid blocks. We can only score against teams who play wide open, like Villa or City. Against any other team, we barely score 2 goals. So.
And with that, Eugene, that goes back to Dan's biggest point when you're talking about the revolution of how our squad's been grown. Yep. We've had a problem against low blocks for 5-6 years. Since Poch left, we've
forever.
Not been able to break down low block. All of the players we signed just aren't good enough to break down low blocks. And to be honest, I think it goes to show that just the quality of players, even right now in this window, like we've been earmarked for Tyler Diblin today. Like, I've great talent. He's an amazing talent. But why are we looking at 18-year-olds and 17-year-olds to improve our attack? It makes no sense. He's not going to be the key to unlocking low blocks. He's trying to learn how to do it himself. It makes absolutely no sense.
Yeah, we need men in this team, man. We need to sign proper players, man, who's going to come in this team and sort this lot out. Yeah, where were our experienced players at the weekend? Like, we had a few of them out there. Where were they? They were hiding. The young players, they didn't have the best of games, but that's quite normal for the young players. They're not always going to play well. Do you know what I mean? They're developing, they're getting used to the team. I mean, like, it was a shocking performance, like, when you think about it. And Maddison at the end, talking about it and saying, we're going to come back. I don't really, let's deep this now, right? How are we going to get out of this form? Like, everybody here, everyone in the chat, how are we getting out of this mess? Anyone know? Anyone got any answers for it? Because I ain't got none.
I think the only way out of the mess is signings. I just think that the bigger issue is, do we make signings? Does Levy wake up and actually want to do anything? Because I don't know if you guys saw the report today that I think he might have to finally wake up, because apparently managers aren't even looking at Spurs. Like, any manager that Spurs are contacting is sort of shutting it down because they're starting to realize Spurs is a graveyard for managers. And lo and behold, it's the truth at the moment. I mean, we've killed however many managers' career. No managers really go on after us and succeed, barring Conte, because we tried to kill him and he didn't have any of it. He wasn't having any of it. He said, Levy, I am not going down with you. You're going down by yourself. And
but George, what that happened before. When Mourinho went there, it took a world record 72 days to hire a manager. That is a world record, mate. There is no club in world football that takes 72 days to hire a manager. Mourinho got a new job at Roma before Spurs hired a new manager. That is something I've never heard of in football, mate. A sacked manager gets a new job before the club has sacked him, yeah, hired a new manager. Where else are you hearing that? The club itself is blacklisted, my friend. I'm telling you that now. Players, yeah, have to judge and say, well, is it worth me coming to Spurs? Because if I come to Spurs, am I actually going to do anything? Am I actually going to win anything? When you look at West Ham, yeah, right, they've actually got let me slow down. West Ham, yeah, have a record actually winning a trophy. The Conference League, even though it's a small little trophy, yeah, they've got a record of winning that. So players can actually see that there's potential to win something at West Ham. There's nothing at Spurs that tell you that you're going to win anything. And that's sad, brother.
I think, do you know what it is, Philly, as well? I think the problem with us in particular is Spurs want to be on the level with big clubs. So with West Ham, a lot of players accept they're going to go to West Ham and get a move to a bigger club. That's a stepping stone. Spurs are no longer a stepping stone. Daniel Levy paints the picture, and the manager sells all the players that we're not a stepping stone. We are a big club. Okay, go act like a big club, and just like Romero's pointed to, just like Sonny's pointed to, the senior players, sign some players. Sign good players instead of trying to sign kids. And that's the only way out of this. To be honest, the only way out of this issue, because a lot of people are saying, sack the manager. And understandably, I understand why people are frustrated, and I understand that this run of form is sackable for any team. If you're on a run of form where you're 1-9, any team, any manager, Pep Guardiola, I know he's got plenty of cash, plenty of credit in the bank. But a lot of people, like nine losses out of 10 is just crazy. It's a sackable offense. But let's be honest here. Any other manager comes in, do you think they're lifting this team to much better? And
yeah,
when I say
definitely,
much better,
definitely. George,
let me ask you, when I say
100%.
much better, because this is where my thing is. I don't want a manager to come in and lift this team to 10th, 9th, 8th, because let's be honest, that's the maximum capability of this squad. This squad's not a top 4 squad. It's most definitely nowhere near Newcastle and so Aston Villa or co. So if Aston Villa and Newcastle are better than us, that doesn't take into consideration Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City. So we're 8th, 9th best squad in the league. That's not good enough.
George, where did you predict us to finish at the start of the season?
I said we'd finish in the European places. Didn't really know where, because I thought, some seasons players overexceed how good they are, overperform. This season, none of our players have overperformed. All of them are underperformed. So now we're at where we're at. But I generally think if another manager comes in, they don't get us. Even if they started this season with this squad, the max they get us is 7th or 8th. This squad's not good enough. That's the issue.
Yeah, but it looks not good enough because we're rubbish right now. But I think a lot of it's on the manager. And I've got to say, I would love to see another manager see what they can do with this group of players. Look, we have got a lot of injuries, right? But we were off form even with injuries. We were so inconsistent, winning one week, losing the next. The more injuries have piled up, the less the confidence in the players. They're not performing. I do think a manager could come in and turn this around. We see it. Look, who's changed managers? West Ham have changed the managers, been an uplift. Comparable squads. Do you think we've got a better squad than West Ham?
West Ham, there's not even been an uplift, though. He's won one game, lost one game. Graham Potter's not even doing a great job. I think
they're above us, aren't they? I think.
They've gone above us, but that's just because Spurs have got worse and worse over this period. I think naturally, this is the problem, is another manager can come in over the next couple of weeks. And yeah, there is going to be an uplift because all of our players are coming back. So when the centre-backs come back, there's going to be an uplift. And the team's going to...
See, I disagree with you here because I watched our players come back. Right, this time last year, yeah, was there an injury crisis at Spurs this time last year, George? Was Romero playing this time last year?
It wasn't an injury crisis, but we had most players out because of we had the Asia Cup as well. You had Africa Cup and Asia.
Yeah. We knew the Asian Cup was coming last year. Yeah, that was already preordained before the season started. So really and truly, yeah, Spurs should have anticipated the Asia Cup and the AFCON, but they didn't do that last year, right? But this time last year, yeah, Romero was out, Maddison was out, and so was Van der Ven out. They were all out injured. Now, for going to this season, yeah, with less players, less bodies than we had last season, yeah, sounds like negligence to me. And this is why I said, yeah, that the injuries are no longer an excuse to me, because you had an excuse last year of injuries, and we played less games. To go into this season, right, with fewer players, yeah, and playing more games, you're going to have more injuries than you had last season. Now, I can't accept it. People saying, "Oh, injuries." No, the club itself knew what was going on before they even raised the prices. They knew what time it was.
Who do you blame that on? Because that's the question, I suppose. Some people put that blame on Ange, some people put it on Levy, some put it on both. I put it on both.
I put it on both. And
Yeah.
I have to blame Ange here for one aspect and one aspect to know, and usually you won't like this one, is because Ange himself, right, said, I like my squad. Before the window closed, I like the way the squad is. Now, that was a big faux pas, because if you say to me that you like the squad the way it is before the window closed, right, then you accept every responsibility when there's injuries, suspension, and fatigue. Now, you should have anticipated that as a manager. Now, either you're telling me the truth, or you are treating me like I'm a fool and telling me a lie. And I don't want to hear a lie, brother. And with what Conte had done before he left, saying that, the squad wasn't there and blah, blah, blah. For Ange to go against that was even worse for me.
Nige, Eugene, what's your take on it?
No, I mean, Philly knows my thoughts. I don't take anything that any manager says at face value. Every manager has a different personality. They approach things differently. Conte was saying some crazy nonsense, but that's his way. Ange is different. He takes responsibility for everything, even things that are not up to him. And of course, he's going to take a fall. It's natural, like it's normal. I just don't read into anything he says. I just look at the track record of the club, how they treat every single manager. And as Philly said, it's negligent when the club knows that we play on 4 fronts and in Europe and cut the wage bill by 40 million and not bring anybody else in. Is it on Ange? I just don't, again, call me naive or dumb, but I don't believe any manager in the Prem who knows he'll be around for 2 years would come in, says everything is great, and then sign only kids and 1 senior player in Solanke. I just don't believe any manager would do that. And knowing how the club works, as we talked about, Dragusin, he doesn't fit what Ange wants to do. Johnson doesn't really fit the way Ange wants to play, and some contest players. So I'm looking at that, and I'm thinking, why would Ange get players who don't fit his system? It's like, why would Conte want the Richarlison and Langley? Why would Jose? Right? It's like, so when I see a pattern, I can disregard what Ange says, just looking at how the club does things. That's why I cut him more slack. But overall, I agree. It's negligence on the club and maybe on Ange if he approved certain signings. But even looking at this transfer window, we're 21 days in. Some people say we're in the relegation battle. We still have all the cups to play for. There's still stuff to play for, and we don't bring anybody in. And I know for a fact, and I think Ange even said that he needs some players in, and there's nobody. So looking at that, even if you sack Ange, it doesn't matter. We have a director of football, right, who's supposed to have a plan. Whether Ange is around or not, we should be bringing somebody in for the club for long term. Not 18-year-olds, not Dibley, who I rate, but he doesn't help us right now. We need 2-3 senior players to help us in the cups.
I agree.
And to me, that's what's confusing. Like, it makes no sense to me. It's like, what's the plan right now? Especially, how badly the club is doing and all the infighting. This is the perfect time for Levy or Mon to talk to the fans and saying, "Yep, we're in rough shape. This is not what where we should be. But here's the plan. We stick with Ange, and here's the plan. Or no, we're going to sack Ange, and here's the plan. We're going to play the kids, or we're going to do this, and that." Right now, I have no idea. It's confusing.
Yeah, but usually, if Levy did that, then he'll be held accountable, and that's the bit that's been hurting me for the last few years. He's never been held accountable by any fan or anybody else. And what Alistair Gold said, was he thinks that everything, the hierarchy and Levy think that everything they're doing is right. And they've never been told they're doing anything wrong. And there's so many yes men upstairs that they've been told, that everything they do is correct in the football club. But there's no one telling them, look, this is not how it goes. And anyone who has had a backbone and stood up to them, they basically go very quickly. The job turns into a nightmare, like Mitchell.
Yeah, I mean, if you own a club, that's worth $8 billion, you don't listen, right? If somebody disagrees, you sack him. That's just the way Levy is.
The thing is, though, I feel like I look, Eugene, we probably agree on a lot with regards to Ange and the way that he manages, because I don't have too much problems with him, but I do have a problem when a manager comes out and defends the decisions the boards are making, because ultimately, like you said, he's taking accountability for that. So and just like all this window, he keeps coming out in every press conference saying, "I'm happy with the work the team are doing." No, you're not. You're not happy. You can't be happy. So and the word, he's contradicting himself, because he come out 3 weeks ago and said Solanke needs help. Solanke's overplayed this season. We're running him into the ground. I'm hoping we could bring in a striker and forward to help him out this window. 3 weeks later, Solanke gets injured in training. He should be coming out fuming at the fact that he's asked for a striker, asked for some help, and it's not being given. But he comes out and says, "I'm happy with the hard work, the team." Like, being a yes man, there is being a yes man, and then there's just like actually being your, like, you can be a yes man but still have your own opinion in certain things, and still, put your little slide digs, just be yes, but then look, do you know what, I'm not happy with this. But he doesn't do that. He's just, everything around in Spurs, the board, the situation, yeah, it's all good, we're happy, we're fine, everything's all happy and like happy days, and it's not. Us fans can see that. There's a mess. We're 15th. We're literally 15th.
But George, do you have any confidence in him turning this round? You're saying you're not too critical of Ange. Do you really think he's going to turn this round?
Yeah, I think he can turn it around. I think.
Why? What do you see? Well,
I think we've seen from when he has the players available, the football is good. There's no doubt about that. The football is good. There's definitely some holes in the system that I feel like over these past 2 months in particular, without Van de Ven and Romero, I think he's learned. Quite a lot about his team. I think he's learned how he needs to adapt. We've seen adjustments being made by him in games. The adjustments haven't necessarily worked all the time because, again, the quality of player isn't there to maintain that. So when you have Van de Ven and Romero back, that, like, all these simple things, defensively, you can afford to play a high line when you've got a fast defender. The high line does no longer look high when Van de Ven's running back and catching up to everyone. It's not.
Yeah, but George, how long do you think Van de Ven can keep doing the high line, and running back without popping another hamstring? Because I reckon he'll pop another hamstring within a few weeks.
The problem with the high line is the intensity that we press at. If you're not pressing for the full 90 minutes, then you won't have to be forced to play a high line, because you're going to be slowing the game down, moving. Similar to Arsenal, at points when they play, they slow the game right down to the point it's boring to watch because they're just moving sideways. But when you're a team that's winning, you're playing high intensity, you need to do that in games. You need to transition and you need to go from 100% to 60%, 100%. You got to phase in and out. The problem with Spurs and the problem with Ange Ball so far, and at the start of the season, most particular, was 100% for 90 minutes. He's trying to go.
Yeah, I agree with that.
He's trying to score. And it's like, no, bro, we don't need to score 4 goals every game. Score 2, get back, get deep, get defensively solid, and just move the ball around. And that's I think he may have learned some of that with using some of these younger players. Like I said, he's been trying new things out. There's been little tactical adjustments to try. I wouldn't say adjust to the players, but try to adjust to the fact that we haven't got all of our best players available. But I do agree that if the plan is to not bring no one in, and the plan isn't to improve the squad, Ange isn't the right man for us. Ange isn't the right man to get the best out of this squad.
He's broken so many records, hasn't he? Bad records. And Jazz, isn't he? The stats, the results, the data, everything is just shocking under this manager. I mean, George, I'm really surprised, man, that you see some hope in him. But that's how you feel, man. So many people have given up on him, and look, I don't know, man. Look, he's not going anywhere soon anyway. He's not going in January, I don't think, unless we lose to Leicester. Then he might go, but he's here for January. He's given the transfer window. Let's see who we bring in the next 9 days. And then it's the cup. For me, with Ange, it's the cup competitions. As soon as he's out of those two, I think his time's up. And if he keeps losing, because if you look at the fixtures, there's not many wins coming up I can see us getting. Maybe we'll have Romero back, Van de Ven. It may help a bit. But the team looks shot. The confidence is gone. We're in the mud, man. Honestly, we really are. We're
you know
a
what
mess.
this is?
I can't see how we can climb out of it under this manager. I can't. I've got to be honest. I can't see it.
No, I agree. Everybody here knows I've been Ange I've been arguing with everybody for the longest time. And I can see what George
It's
is
even
saying.
got beyond that, Eugene. It's not
No, I
even
know.
Ange manned out. It's got that bad that something has to change because we're going nowhere.
Well, and my biggest issue is with Ange, and like why I flipped somewhat at this point, is the track record of injuries. That's not a coincidence. The injuries, I just think whatever he's doing, the way we're playing, it's not sustainable.